think you're not smart enough to know everything. Some of these topics are really tough. We struggle with them currently, and if we struggle with them long enough, one day we'll be smart enough.
Hi, welcome to the Smart Enough podcast. I'm your host, Vandy.
And I'm Danny. And on the soundboard and in the big blue, black, gray chair, we've got AJ.
That's right. Are you colorblind?
Yeah, I didn't know what I wanted to say. I didn't know if I wanted to make
Elaborate.
it
Gotcha. Because this is bright pink.
Well, people don't know.
That's
right?
true.
So
you can make it
it's
up.
really whatever.
Yeah. So today we have Nkechi joining us from Planned Parenthood. She is a disease intervention specialist over there. And today our topic is, I'm sorry you have cancer, but it's not my cancer. We'll go into that later. We are a weekly podcast designed to engage and inspire deep and critical thinkers to participate in constructive conversation and to encourage compassion and hopefully a few laughs and bring those to public discourse.
Yes.
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 I
We are getting
I got it. I got it.
I know. It's
I was
rough.
like, ooh, where am I going? We have a few new angles that we're trying out today, so that's always fun. I threw AJ for a loop 5 minutes before we started.
Change everything.
Change everything.
Everything right now.
I was such a diva on set.
And off.
Right after
Hey,
he
how about
refused
that?
to take out my green Skittles. There were green Skittles in my bowl.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Alex. It'll never happen again.
Thank you.
Where were the Skittles?
Thank you. Don't worry about it.
Sour ones or the regular ones?
The regular one.
Alex told me you
Gotta
didn't
get
want
the
a
sour.
rider. No, you didn't have a rider?
No. Anyway, so I wanted to kind of start out today talking to you and Nkechi about, and this is a new position that you're jumping into. I know you from AIDS Project Los Angeles,
Right.
where you worked previously, and I worked with you, and we've done food distributions and the turkey distribution this year for Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm. That still happens. Yeah.
That still happens.
Thanksgiving
Yeah.
still happens.
Thanksgiving,
Thanksgiving
yeah,
still happens.
and the turkey distribution.
Right.
When did you start? Are you excited? What's going on?
So, yeah, I'm actually still at APLA Health, now
Okay,
it's called. It
great.
was formerly AIDS Project Los Angeles. We rebranded. Right now, I'm still Linkage to Care case manager, helping HIV-positive folks get into medical care and people who have fallen out of care, for 6 months or greater. So I started Planned Parenthood on the 27th. So I'm excited about
Awesome,
that. Yeah,
awesome.
it's really... my degree is in public health, both of my degrees, my bachelor's and my master's. So it'd be exciting to really dive more into what I went to school for, like prevention and disease. Really, I love disease prevention, so it'd be really exciting.
Yeah. What do you love about it? What got you kind of engaged with it?
I was actually a nursing major beforehand, but then I started, I think, volunteering at a hospital, and I just wasn't liking the provider-client interactions. It was very cold. The nurses always looked really tired and depressed, and I don't know, I just wasn't feeling it. And then one of my teachers, I had transferred to CSUN, Cal State Northridge, and someone told me about public health. I'm like, okay, let me take a few classes, try it out, see if I like it, and I fell in love with it just because it's the other side of health. It's prevention, so I get to kind of work with people before they even get sick. Helping them to not get sick in the first place, So nursing, on the other hand, which is great, of course, great profession. They're working more on the treatment side of things. So I just love the preventative aspect of it.
Yeah.
I love it.
And that's what Planned Parenthood is about. That's what
Yes, exactly.
it's a real kind of shame that it's been rebranded as kind of abortion clinic when
Exactly.
it's so much more than that.
Right.
It does do so much for PrEP and getting the word out about PrEP and even just reproductive services and family planning.
Right.
Aside from abortions.
Exactly.
Are you going to be working within the specific field for HIV or?
No, so I'm actually going a little bit away from HIV/AIDS, which is like my first passion.
Right.
But I'll still be in sexual health, which is my public health love. I love sexual health, reproductive health, and women's health. So it's really doing all of that. So I'll definitely still be involved somewhat in HIV/AIDS in the field, but not as specifically. Not specific.
Yeah, and why was you say HIV/AIDS was your first love?
Yeah.
Did you have a personal connection, or what was it that spurred
Yeah.
that for you?
If you
I
wanna
started
share.
just doing a lot of
Yeah,
research.
sorry. Yeah, it's probably like a super.
If
Now I
you
got it. No, I'm
want
just
to
kidding.
share.
No, definitely no personal stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm HIV negative.
Mhm.
However, I just noticed the impact that it has on my community, the Black community, for women especially. Black women are very, very much impacted by the disease. And I was just curious, like, why is that? Why is it an illness that's so greatly affecting these women, Black people, Black men? And it just really something just resonated in me. I started just doing more research. I started doing all of my papers in school on HIV/AIDS, and I just kind of dived right in. So now I consider myself an HIV advocate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's so interesting because, and it's specifically why I brought you here for this topic, where, you know, when we're talking about your cancer, I'm sorry you have cancer, but it's not my cancer. You've responded the opposite. You know, you're
Right.
saying, I'm HIV negative, but, you know, I care about you. I care about this community. I care about how this is impacting people who are not me.
Right.
And so I think that's such an important shift in a lot of people's, that needs to happen in a lot of people's thinking.
Right.
And just great that you had a kind of a calling for it.
Right.
It sounds
Yes,
like.
you're right.
Yeah.
That's true.
Where did you grow up, in Los Angeles or?
No, I'm actually a San Diego native.
Oh my
619.
Yeah.
Best Mexican food ever, by the way. So I moved up here to Los Angeles almost 5 years ago to go to grad school. So went to Cal State Northridge once again. Graduated in 2014. Throughout grad school, I was just a TA working with little brats all day, and then I was able to work at APLA after that. So yeah, San Diego.
Yeah,
Representing.
I love San Diego.
I haven't
think
been
it's-
yet.
It's pretty rad.
You haven't been yet,
No,
Wait,
I
never?
haven't. No.
Like you've never been to San Diego.
Never.
and you
Wow.
live so close.
Yeah.
And she's about to leave us for
Oh.
med school.
Well,
Oh,
So
I mean, good, but it's
Yeah.
leaving.
well, yeah.
Like,
way
congrats,
to
but-
go, Alex. Yeah, no. I'm gonna try
That's
to go to
awesome.
the zoo.
Yes,
Maybe
definitely hit up the zoo.
I'll hit the zoo and
Taco shops too.
yeah.
In San Diego?
Yeah, it's a zoo. They're known for
World
their zoo.
famous.
Right?
Oh, okay.
Come on, don't. You know.
I just
World
think of when
famous.
I think of San Diego, I just think of debauchery. For me personally.
And I think that's probably any place for you because I say Palm Springs and you think
I say
debauchery.
debauchery.
Wow.
Whereas old people think, oh, it's just a nice place for you
Uh-huh.
know
Relaxation.
for me
Yeah.
to stay. You know.
right.
Oh, Alex.
Yeah.
I know. So that's super cool.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
Are you gonna miss? So you, if you talk about APLA a little bit, you've. I think a lot of people don't know much about the organization. Is it just? It's just for LA County,
Yes.
and people don't understand the kind of service. So I guess I should ask, what are the exact services that you're providing? for
So
people?
APLA Health offers services, of course, for HIV positive individuals. We're one of the largest AIDS service organizations in the country. We offer just things like linkage to care, what I do, housing, benefits. We have our food bank, so it's pretty cool because people can come in twice a week to get groceries. They just have to have the right income and things like that, income requirements rather.
Right.
What am I missing? That's about it. Oh, transportation needs. Yeah, that's what I can remember right now.
Yeah. And this all ties in back, and like I wanted, because I'm saving the topic for the second portion of our show, but it all ties into what we hear a lot, or what I hear a lot from the right side, is they hate these handouts and they don't want to give these handouts to people. And there's such a misunderstanding of the needs of this population. And of course, not everyone with who's HIV positive is living in poverty or living below, I guess the poverty line.
Right.
But this is APLA is a service that does exactly that.
Right.
Are there any sort of events coming up or that we should promote while we're here?
Not that I can remember.
Okay.
They
If I
provide like maternity things or no?
Unfortunately, we so for example, like if I were to link a pregnant woman, let's say with HIV, to medical care, preferably that clinic that I link her to would have the services. I know that there's maternal, child, and adolescent department. I want to say at USC there's a good one. So there's definitely a myriad of services there, but we don't provide that actually in house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we are going to I kept kind of nearing the iceberg.
You wanted to go there.
And I wanted to go there. I wanted to go in deep. It's always hard for me to, you know, when you're in conversations with people and you're just like, we're at like just a casual party. Like you did not need to talk about your grandmother dying or like, I always go there with people. Anyway, so I'm doing that now. So we'll take a break and then we'll get back to that topic.
Great.
And we're back. Do you want to ask about the women's?
Oh yeah, no, I was
Yeah.
clarifying the question. Does Planned Parenthood have maternity resources?
I'm sure they do.
Okay.
She hasn't started
Okay.
yet, though.
I haven't
Okay.
started
I
yet.
see, I
I'm
see.
still gonna have to feel my way, but I
Yeah.
apologize. I thought you were asking for APLA Health specifically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure there's some kind of referral resource for the mother, right? Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so
What?
a little flicker of the light, right? Or was I the
It's
only
a
one who
ghost.
experienced that?
Might
Oh,
be
that's
inside,
that's the
maybe.
ghost.
Oh, okay.
There's a ghost.
Oh,
yeah.
him. Anyway, so today's topic, I'm sorry you have cancer, but it's not my cancer. How to create compassion for people who think or who have a different experience than you or who suffer from something that may not directly impact you or you feel like it doesn't directly impact you. And how I kind of think about this is, we know those cancer walks or AIDS life cycle. Most of the people who are joining in on those sorts of things are people who have had it directly impact their life. And those for all of us, I think a universal truth is, and it sounds dumb to say because it seems so self-evident, but we care about the things that personally affect us. Like if we're gay, we care more about gay rights, or not more. Well, maybe more, like, because it's our life and we have to experience, or my life, and I have to experience it, or like, being black, or, other issues, having HIV, any sort of issue, the people who are affected are the ones who care about it the most. But how do you get people who don't have it, who aren't part of it, to care about you?
That's really tricky because I feel like we have to normalize discussions that make us. We have to normalize the issues at hand, meaning being okay with talking about them. A lot of people are, I think, afraid to talk about things that, of course, make them uncomfortable. That might be one of the reasons why they avoid getting into the issue or the topic at hand. So perhaps for somebody, for example, bringing up the issue of race, it's uncomfortable to talk about and quite frankly exhausting, to talk about oftentimes. So I think just having conversations, kind of like what we're doing right now, just really normalizing it, saying it's okay to talk about these things. That's kind of that's the first step, I believe, is really engaging other people too, other cultures of people, different backgrounds, diverse populations, just all coming together, talking about it. Communication, like your degrees in.
Yes,
That
take a shot. Take a shot. Yeah, totally. And kind of exactly to what you were saying, I feel like, when you are bringing up things like about race, white people often go,
Right.
like, well, I didn't start slavery and I didn't do slavery. And, I don't use, the N-word or, I don't discriminate. And they think that's kind of enough. And so they don't even want to have the conversation because they don't want to take any responsibility for it. Yeah. And it's like, sorry, did you want to jump in?
I'll wait for you.
Okay, no,
You go.
go ahead. I don't know where I was.
No, I think that also there's this false idea that we are so distant from all these issues, right? And so
Mhm.
I think that we're really not. I think we're probably a person away from experiencing the majority of the problems, right? Is that it's very pervasive. It's not, race, sexual orientation, poverty. Like it's not that far away from us that we can't see it, And I think
Mhm.
it's a matter of us saying this does actually exist, and this does affect me, whether I don't see it directly. It does affect me. And so I think it's about thinking outside of who you are, and I think it's just a level of personal maturity that people have to come to in order to be more, my favorite word, empathetic.
It's a good word.
And so, and I think it has a lot to do with the individuals themselves, and if you were raised to be very selfish, or things were kind of centered around you making it happen, you're less likely to think about other people. You weren't raised to consider other people, so then that's how you live your life.
Yeah.
And so this is going to go back to parenting. This is going to go back,
Right.
I think it's hard to pinpoint one way to teach people or to encourage people to now think about other people, right? Because now we're asking you to be a better person, right? And it's that stuff is learned, and so because it's learned, it also has to be relearned, about how you should interact with people or how you should care about people. And then I think I've also probably had certain conversations with people. It's just like, what's your priority in life? Like, what is success to you? Is it making a certain dollar amount? Is it being, a certain, being at a certain level in your career, or is it more so about, I want to help people that probably experience some of the similar issues that I've had before, and the success for me is preventing someone from going through the same traumatic experiences that I've gone through, right? And so I think it's,
Yeah,
Tricky.
I think I mean I think if a Republican heard that, they would take such issue with uh some of the things you said, like saying that they were brought up selfish, and they're like, well, you don't know my life. My grandma made sure that I donate to charity. I go to church, I care, I volunteer, I do all these things. And I think when it comes to these governmental policies, they don't like seeing part of their check go to organizations that they don't support. So something like Planned Parenthood,
Right.
where they don't maybe necessarily realize the benefit that it's giving to a community that may look very different from the one that they're raised in
Right.
or that they're growing up in. They would much rather take care of their kids, their neighbors,
Right.
people who they know.
Mm-hmm.
And and I just see that as a dramatic shift between the two parties.
yeah. I think we've also kind of perpetuated this idea of Democrats being very, supportive of all people and being incredibly inclusive, and Republicans being, I think they're all, at the end of the day, they're all people, right?
Right.
And they all do the same stuff, right? So, maybe these issues are probably a little bit more important to you than this set of issues, but I think Democrats and Republicans alike have very similar, mentalities, which is, I mean, the
You
reason.
do?
Yeah.
Democrats and Republicans having similar mentalities?
I honestly think that they're not like polar opposites, right? Like,
Right. Yeah.
I don't think that they're
I think
polar
it's
opposites.
been polar. I think the media has polarized it.
Exactly.
For sure.
And so this idea that,
And I just polarized it, I guess is kind of what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that it's that polarized. I think one of the issues in the Democratic Party now, or with this election, was the fact that they were not addressing a huge population of people, and so where this is a party that says, oh, we're all inclusive and we care about everyone, they missed something, right? And so, I also think that the labels kind of need to be taken away, and the humanity needs to be given back to everyone, right? And so we need to start encouraging more of this is not the fact that this is the party that I affiliate with, but
Yeah, and I guess, I really was talking more about the principle, like so I was personifying it using a person, but the Republican principle of not wanting to give, they're for lower taxes and not wanting to give to governmental institutions, small government, whereas Democratic policies more lean towards big government and spending on social programs and public goods. And have you ever, Nkechi, like, do you ever have to defend Planned Parenthood to anyone you know, or like?
Yeah, it was funny. Like, way before I even applied or thought I'd be working at Planned Parenthood, I've always supported Planned Parenthood, of course, personally. But I'll never forget on Facebook a few years ago, I think I posted like a meme, I stand with Planned Parenthood, something to the like. And someone commented like, oh my God, Nkechi, of all people, someone so like pro-Black and Afrocentric, I would expect you to not support Planned Parenthood because given the racist nature of Margaret Sanger, the founder of Planned Parenthood, being a suspected eugenicist. So I was like, okay, like I had heard these things before. I'm like, yeah, she probably was.
A suspected eugenicist?
Yeah, a eugenicist, yeah.
What's a eugenicist?
A eugenicist is a person who believes in a pure race of people, basically white.
Okay.
Basically blonde hair, blue eyes. Exactly. Kind of like Hitler, I guess, believed.
Right,
Something like Hitler.
Yeah, like he believed like pure. You have to be pure, no mixing of any kind. You know what I mean? So it was said that Margaret Sanger was, basically like that. I'm actually reading a book now called Medical Apartheid, and it talks about that.
Amazing.
Have you finished it? I haven't even finished it yet.
Yes.
It's so good so
So
far.
good.
Oh, I need to finish it.
Oh, I'm putting it on my
goes,
list.
Yes, but it's depressing. It's daunting, but it's a good read so far. And it does go into that. And I'm like, okay, I'm looking at her comment like, she probably was a eugenicist. In Medical Apartheid, it said she was, and it had documents stating that she was. And I'm thinking, okay, look at J.P. Morgan Chase, the person we oftentimes use for banking. He was racist.
Right.
So
Well,
we
pretty
have to
much
look
anyone
right.
in the past was racist.
Not to say
Founders
that
of
was
the
okay,
government.
but
Right.
yeah.
And
Our
also,
founding fathers owned
Right.
slaves. So
Exactly.
that's why when
So-
somebody tells me about, I know I'm probably going way off, but
No, you're
yeah.
about the Constitution and all this, I'm like, our founding fathers. I know this one person who would just, our founding fathers, you'd look up to these men. I'm like, yeah, they owned slaves. They were not
Right.
great people, in my opinion.
Right.
So, yeah, we have to acknowledge that America does have a very racist past.
Yeah.
But going back to the Planned Parenthood thing,
Yeah.
I've had to, of course, defend what it stands for. And I said, yeah, it might have started off a certain way with the organization, but I like what it stands for now. It's helping millions of men, women, adolescents with just primary care. It's so
Yeah.
necessary, so.
Totally. And it's just it's a real challenge. I mean, and people often I'm jumping a little here too, but people often marvel at how quickly the gay rights movement, how fast gay rights seem to move. And in my opinion, I think part of what helped us is that gay people are related to straight people, and we're inserted into every demographic. So we kind of just naturally can have the difficult conversations that you were talking about earlier. We can kind of have those, whereas with something like race or sometimes religion, more so race, when it's a genetic divide, it can be harder to enter the same circles where you feel comfortable with someone enough. Like an aunt, like an uncle, a homophobic aunt or uncle I could talk to, and they'd see like, oh, he's not a child molester, whereas like you don't necessarily have that, even just to articulate the Black experience. I love how I'm explaining race, but I just think that conversation is much harder to have than, I'm forced to celebrate family holidays. You know what I mean? I'm forced into the room with people who might disagree with me, whereas like that doesn't happen as often. I would imagine.
I think it's happening more now,
Mhm.
right? Like I think over the decades, over the years, it's increased, right? Because we're somewhat, pervasive and like there are more people of color in STEM, or science professions. It's called STEM.
Oh, okay.
but
Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
I,
Yeah.
everyone may not know it.
Yeah, tell me
Um,
what it is.
Oh God,
Yeah,
I don't
what
know
is
what it
that?
stands for. STEM, science, technology, engineering, medicine, mathematics.
I think
Yeah.
mathematics is it.
Yeah.
Hey.
Or just like in film production, writing, so I think that the more we have, these marginalized people, right, beginning to kind of dive into these typically very majority white male dominated professions, right? Now you're being forced to work with them, right? And also people of different races love each other, so
Right.
then you start falling in love with each other, and it's just like, I kind of have to deal with your people,
Yeah.
so
Kind of
and
forced. I
right,
guess, a
Yeah.
little
yeah,
bit.
Putting them in the same room.
yeah, and I'm going to have a combination, my children are going to have to experience that, so then that level of empathy is now heightened because now your kids
Yeah.
may experience something that you've experienced. I think things have changed, right? Like I definitely think there has been some progress, but I think it's not completely done, and there's a lot more to go, as far
Long
as
way to go.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think this election really showed us that. Yeah.
I think it showed a certain group of people, right?
True colors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think that a lot of people already knew what the deal was, but
Right. Well, we talked about that. I don't know. I hate to bring it up again, but I was like, Danielle, can you believe America is like this? And she was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
It's
God,
just
I'm an
been proven,
idiot.
Like, blatantly
Yeah,
now.
I know. Blatantly in
Yeah, it's,
everyone's
like,
faces.
smacked in our face. Yeah.
All right. So we're going to jump over to, Nkechi, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
That was, it always goes so deep, so fast, but it's good. I mean, I really do love these conversations, even if I like sound like an idiot sometimes. You know what I mean? So we're gonna jump over to obsessions. This is something that either this week or in your lifetime, you are obsessed with. Does anyone want to go first? We have Nkechi's husband in the room. here.
Yeah,
He's
and he's
there
pointing to
pointing,
He's pointing
himself.
to himself. He's like,
I'm
"Pick
the
me,
obsession
pick me."
baby. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Really?
I don't think he was quite that dramatic about it, but
I'll go first.
okay.
Okay, so they're not gonna pay me for this. They should, but so on Carson and Western, there is this taco place called Taco Sinaloa, right?
Mhm.
They have the best tacos in the world. Okay, they're about $1.35.
I don't know
It's a
about
big
that.
Right.
claim, big claim right there.
Yes,
What's it called again?
Taco Sinaloa, number 21.
Number 21.
Wow, she real specific with it.
I
Like,
love
she
it.
knows.
I love it.
It might be 3, but whatever.
Oh,
I gave you a number.
3,
I gave you a
awesome.
number. I
Five,
gave
one
you a
of
number.
those.
They're so good, and they have a jukebox in their
yeah.
establishment. The line is always
Nice.
super long. They always have a soccer game on. It's a great environment.
Cool.
I love it.
Nkechi, do you have one or do you need me to go?
I would say honestly, makeup.
Makeup.
Purchasing makeup. Just stuff I don't even need. I have
Right.
millions of, I think lipstick specifically.
Lipstick. Do you have a
Yes,
specific
oh my
brand?
gosh. MAC.
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 Liquid lipsticks are the best.
MAC liquid
Okay.
Yes.
lipsticks.
I
Noted.
I
Yes.
learned so much on this show
Yeah.
about I've learned about press-ons.
You didn't know about
I
press-ons
didn't know about
before?
still
press-ons
have those?
before that.
Wow.
What
Yeah.
kind of gay man are you?
I know. Well, and then I used them for my show.
You didn't know that that was called a
You
press
put on
on.
the press on?
Yeah, I had a show where I my character
Oh.
had, and I needed to quickly take them off right after I did my monologue,
Right.
and so I knew about it from this show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's funny.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So Mac, you
MAC
said.
liquid. Anastasia Beverly Hills. Basically, they sell it at like Sephora, and maybe I should be getting paid too.
Yes,
Girl,
I
I know
know.
that's
I know.
right.
We're dropping
After
some
that
brand
check.
names today. If you'd like to sponsor.
Call.
Let's see. AJ.
Again?
Yes.
Oh, it's a regular thing now?
I know. I like it. I like
Okay.
your. I like you.
He likes your voice.
I like you being on the show.
I just got a copy of something called the Illustrated Eddas by Andrew Volkauskas. I think that's his last name.
Okay.
The Eddas are like ancient Norwegian prose. It's essentially where we get Nordic mythology from. It's from these books, and he compiled them to a very like accessible and with like great illustrations and stuff like that. I love reading about mythology and folklore and stuff
Me
like
too.
that.
Wow.
I
I think
do.
it's when that plus food is like the best way to experience someone's culture and kind of understand the heritage and their principles and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So I've been reading that, and it's really amazing.
Well, and you're also a big story guy. I'm a big
Yes,
story
yeah.
guy too, and I just love stories. I simplified your mythology. to
No, I mean that's
stories,
it. I
but-
love stories.
Yeah, you
Absolutely,
do
yeah,
love
you're
stories.
right.
But okay, so mine this week, I got my first facial this week.
Oh wow,
What?
from where?
From Intercontinental it was a hotel. It was on Avenue of the Stars. My boyfriend took me for our anniversary, celebrating 3 years together. We had to delay it. Anyways, that's blah 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 blah. But so I am obsessed with skin popping things and all the things. And I've always known that my pores were huge. But
too.
this lady was like, "Yeah, you literally had something in every pore of your face."
They
She's
put
like,
the light over you, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
and I swear this entire week I've been feeling like there's this energy force like
Oh my
Coming out of your
goodness.
face?
coming out of my face.
What a drama queen.
Yeah.
Wow.
And my other obsession, can I have another one? No. I just want to end there because I'll save this one. I'll save another one if I need it. But yeah, so facials. And I don't know how to say facial without making it sound sexual. Like,
What?
I
yeah.
forgot what that means sexually. To be
Really?
honest. I know
Oh,
I've like
God.
heard it.
I totally invited that. But every time I tell someone I got
It's
a
all
facial,
about the lens, man.
I guess it's because I'm talking with gay men about facials and they're like,
yeah.
"Oh, you did?" And I'm like, "Oh, God."
What does
Yeah.
it
The
mean again,
worst.
Alex?
No, I don't wanna do it. It's
We'll talk
when
after,
it's
I'm
when
kidding.
someone like spews all over your face.
Oh, okay.
Oh my
Thanks for the
goodness.
reminder.
Oh my God. Anyways, hi mom.
Hi.
So anyways, that's our show. Nkechi,
Aw.
thank you so much for coming on.
You.
I'm still pushing this, and I'm gonna push it till I'm dead. You can call in.
You better call us.
You can call in and leave a comment or a question that you have. Our number is 323-642-7905. Once again, that's 323-642-7905. And remember that if we're smart enough to have a conversation,
So are you.
we'll see you next week.